So what's going on, guys? My name's MrDalekJD. Thanks for clicking on this video where today we are going to be discussing on the reasons why Treyarch have got rid of the campaign within Black Ops 4 and how pretty much 99% of people have got Black Ops 4 wrong in saying there is no story, because there is. Now, on the reveal within the first 5 minutes, they made sure to mention that narratively this game is set between Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. And without there being any narrative at all in the game, it would be very difficult for them to get away with explaining it as this. But as you can obviously tell from the box art and everything that we've seen, this game is very multiplayer orientated. This is where most, if not all, of the player numbers, once people normally complete single player campaigns, are going to reside for the next year, the next 2 years. But there is narrative content within the game. There is a new series of solo missions that take you deeper into understanding each of the specialists you're going to play in a multiplayer, adding that players like us will be able to discover the backstory of the characters. Now, this isn't just a quick, simple cash-in from Treyarch's behalf, as they've always wanted to explain this. If you go into Black Ops 3, and if you've ever noticed when playing as specialists, if you ever get killed during kill confirmed, the dog tags that your specialist leads are information about your specialist. And as you level up and use the specialist more in multiplayer, there are options within the specialist menu where you can hear and read backstory and audio logs protruding to each specialist character. Now, what you're seeing on screen now is a trailer called Power in Numbers, which they showed off during the reveal stream to basically give a little bit of solidarity to the solo missions that we expect to see within Black Ops 4. Now without a doubt, this trailer looks amazing, and each specialist in Black Ops 3 has a ton of backstory, which I don't think any of us have really ever paid attention to. These contain tons of audio logs and tons of different bits of text explaining their backgrounds. And in order for the characters to get to where they are in Black Ops 3, is to visually show us them going through their journeys to get to where they got to in Black Ops 3 in Black Ops 4. So whilst it's not a traditional campaign, there is definitely still solo and cooperative story missions for you to play. So if anyone says there is no single player within Black Ops 4, then you are mistaken, as there is. It's just not the traditional single player that you expect. I just had to get that out of the way, as there is a lot of misleading videos and a lot of misleading articles about there being absolutely no single player whatsoever in Black Ops 4, when indeed there is. But of course, people have asked them why there isn't a traditional single player, and let's hear directly from Treyarch about what they have to say about that. Everything that I'm about to tell you comes from the man Dan Bunting, the co-studio head of Treyarch himself, hot on the heels of the reveal of Black Ops 4, thanks to an interview by Wesley Yinpool from Eurogamer. So it's now public knowledge that the campaign that was worked on was scrapped. What challenges did Treyarch face in the development of it, and what ultimately led to the decision to ditch it? They said going back to the very beginning of developing Black Ops 4, they never had set out to make a traditional campaign. They've always started from the place of, we're gonna make something different with the game that was gonna be inspired by how the community was interacting with Black Ops 3 and the games over the years. They see more and more players spending more time with multiplayer and zombies, not just in the game, but out of the game, streaming and talking about it in forums. It's generated a real huge crowd response. The decision was, we wanted to make a different style of game this time. Throughout the course of development, they tried a lot of ideas, a lot of things that challenged convention, that might be a different kind of twist on how we might think of a Call of Duty game in the past, or a Black Ops game in the past, and as they did that, some things made it, and some things didn't. The game that they're representing today really represents the best of the ideas that have run through that gauntlet of game development, which is pretty typical for how Treyarch do things. But just to be clear, there was never a traditional campaign. They always wanted to tell stories in different ways. They've always wanted to celebrate the community, especially on how the game is played with friends, and the heart and soul of the game is how you play games with friends, and they wanted to do more than that than they've ever done before. So with the question of there not being a traditional campaign, you know, Black Ops games have always had one. There's some people already saying no campaign, no purchase. What message does Treyarch have for those people? They say that I think change is always going to be hard for people, and they'd say to the fans that Treyarch has never let you down over the years. This is a studio you know is always going to deliver the best of the experiences that we know and love, especially with the Black Ops series. They're delivering so much more of what players spend most of their time doing in their games in the series. From From the multiplayer, with the way they're going much deeper in validating new playstyles so anyone can pick up the game and play it and feel like they can have fun, to zombies and having the biggest content delivery they've ever done in a game launch, to the brand new Blackout mode, which is inspired by the Battle Royale genre but done in their own unique way. Now, there is some mention of modes available to people that want to play solo. And there is a campaign of sorts. In multiplayer, they're delivering a series of solo missions that can take you deeper into understanding each of the specialists you're going to play in multiplayer. It's going to give you backstory, it's going to give you some world building setup, why do these characters exist, who do they work for, what kind of operations do they run on, just giving players a sense of connectedness to the world they're engaging in for so long, and tell the stories of those characters that just barely touched upon in Black Ops 3, and introduce some new ones in the process as well. This, as you can see on screen now, the Power in Numbers trailer, is exactly what this is. This brand new set of solo missions, all based around the backstory of specialists. The series of missions will also help refine your skill set with each of the characters, so you can go into multiplayer and feel a sense of mastery. Now, in the reveal, they worded it as trials, and they talked about how there was going to serve trials for players to strengthen their capabilities with each of the characters. The gameplay around each one is custom crafted to give you a much deeper insight into how that player operates and moves and works in multiplayer, but it's also going to give you the story that is wrapped around that character, who they are and where they came from. Now, when asked if this story is going to be delivered like a traditional campaign and are there going to be cutscenes that we might see in a traditional campaign sense, they literally just said you'll just have to come back later and I'll show it to you. But judging from the trailer, it makes it out that there is going to be some cutscenes that are a traditional campaign looking cutscenes. Now, this isn't the only interview that's been had regarding asking about campaign, as a website called Daily Star got to interview a different person over at Treyarch, hot on the heels from the actual Black Ops 4 reveal event. Interesting enough as well, just because Black Ops 4 is ditching a single player traditional campaign, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of single player campaigns in future Call of Duty titles. So Yael Miller, who's a senior producer at Treyarch, said the single player mode is only missing at this moment in time. They say, I really think with every game that Treyarch have made, they finish that title and then they ask what is it fans are going to love the most. If that's another traditional campaign, then they'll make another traditional campaign. But right now, for what their goals are for Black Ops 4, it was just multiplayer, zombies and Blackout that were focused on. It's an interesting statement. Suggestions online that because of Call of Duty moving away from the single player experience, other titles would follow suit, but that's just something Treyarch are doing for this title alone. That means other Call of Duty developers like Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward may be planning a single player campaign for their next releases. Treyarch even state in terms of the future of the franchise, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer are their own awesome teams doing their own thing, and Treyarch have no idea what they're doing. They couldn't, for example, make Blackout because that's just quintessentially Black Ops. And he rounded up the interview by saying that Treyarch love narrative games and there's a place for narrative games, but for Treyarch and what they wanted to do, it was the right decision in this game to not have a single player campaign. After hearing all that, what camp do you sit in right now? Are you still disappointed that there isn't a single player within Call of Duty? Do you buy Call of Duty games simply for the single player, or is it something that you touch upon within the first week of release, you finish it and then you never touch it again? Because I believe it's that sort of mindset which is why they've probably not chosen to focus on a single player campaign this time around. But with all of that resource and time instead being put into multiplayer and zombies, I think it's quite clear to see from the zombies content we saw from the reveal alone that additional hands-on with that new amount of people that aren't making a campaign instead of focusing on zombies creates a immensely better experience all round. And the fact that this game is going to be supported for years to come with this amount of manpower and this amount of dedication to where the gameplay is being played the most, and it's obviously going to be within multiplayer and zombies for the long run. So for this decision, they've decided not to make one, but I mean, there still is sort of a campaign of some sorts with those specialist solo missions, which will tell stories and backstories of the specialists and do give you a little bit of story information there, and it's guaranteed from that trailer alone that we will see some sort of traditional campaign like cutscenes. But let me know what you thought of this all down below in the comment section. If you haven't already checked out my previous uploads talking about tons of stuff with zombies, secrets that you've never heard before, learned, as well as even more zombie videos, there's literally so many. You can find my latest ones on screen now, but if you haven't already, subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss a future upload, because YouTube doesn't always deliver it in your sub box, and I don't want you missing out on these fresh, hot videos. Thank you for watching, you've been amazing, and I'll catch you next time.
As Mark mentioned in his opening remarks, we're doing some things a little bit differently this year, including how we tell stories in each mode throughout the game. Now, we're delivering more narrative and character depth in multiplayer than ever before. And we're also going to give new and returning players the ability to learn and master each of these specialists in solo missions. These missions feature a series of fun and fast-paced trials that give a hands-on introduction to the new and returning specialists, while exploring the stories behind their identities and their backgrounds inside of a Black Ops narrative. Now, with each game, the Black Ops players have spent more and more time in multiplayer, and it's important to us that we go bigger on that experience and expand the narrative universe around it.